They just know they're coming up short. And what do they turn to? They turn to debt. They turn to debt to fund that space, to fund that cycle. And they're constantly making that decision without knowing that every time I take on additional debt, my minimum mandatory profit itself now just went up. So it's symbiotic. It's like a negative cycle. So when we land there, we can already look at a client and know what the health of that company is inside of about 7 minutes. It's a system I've been using. It teaches clients, first of all, what debt is, what debt service is, why they need to know it as a business owner, how it affects their business if it's just ignored, right? If it's just ignored. And then last but not least, calculating what theirs is. I'm going to show you an example. Can you go on debt service for me, please, sir? So I can go into any company, pick the state. Illinois is fine. They're an S corporation, and they have a monthly payment to debt of $10,000. That client has to make $160,000. I've done a double inverse equation, so it's taken both the S corporation taxation, which is a progressive rate, and the state rate of 9.5%. That client has to make $161,000 this year, or they're going to harm their company, because where is it going to come from if they miss it? Working capital. And if you continue to erode your working capital, what ends up happening? You either go into further debt, right? Further debt, so you're back in the cycle again, or on the opposite side, you just can't fund the sales you just got. So our analysts right now are using this tool to go in and find out not what the client wants to make. That was the posture of the old survey. The old survey postured as, hey, come with me to the land of milk and honey. You're at 2% right now, you want to make 10%? That's fantastic. That's an 8% delta. That's costing you X number of dollars a year. And it's not that it wasn't bad, right? I'm not saying it was bad, it was good. This one right here, we don't have to have much more of a conversation about what that client has to do this year. That's the first step. That's the breathing. Then we move on to the next one, which is working capital. I'm going to measure what their working capital actual is and what their working capital required is and what their working capital actual is. And if it's a negative delta, guess what? There's only one way to handle that. There's only one way to satisfy that. Negate it, I guess, is the better word. And it's profit. So I've already got 2 issues within the first 5 minutes when I see the debt, and in most cases, it being 9 out of 10 of our clients, they haven't even made close to that amount in profit in 3 or 4 years. And then on the other side, I just measured their working capital, and they already have a negative. The working capital can be a little more patient. We need to attack whatever that deficit is of post-tax profitability. Sometimes it can be over 2 years, sometimes it can be over 3. Can you switch over to the working capital, if you don't mind? When you go into working capital, when we look at a company that's $3 million in revenue, can you fill that in for me? Let's assume they have accounts receivable of about $600,000, which would be 20%, somewhat normal, and they produced a profit of $100,000. Thank you for this. I just put you on the spot for doing this. Okay, so what do we figure out? We figured out the average daily sales that client pulls in, or the number of IOUs the client pulls into their accounts receivable is $11,538.